it's a, like a heavy like it's hard to explain, but it's just imagine not sleeping for a while, and maybe some of you guys have gone through that, but it was a really heavy zombie like type of like how I used to feel.
Yeah. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Driven. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing about sleep. I know we're going to be discussing this topic because there was some pretty major life changes when it comes to myself in the last month. I know that my daughter was born. She was born in mid-June. Yes. And so with that, I know that, before that, I used to sleep like 6 to 8 hours, trying to get at like closer to the 8 hours. But, when that happened, I know my sleep just got messed up. And I know during that time,
when that happened, when your daughter was born, huh?
Yeah, that changed when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
I know, especially being in the hospital the first like day, 2 days, like being in labor, just being awake. And then once she's born, it's just being like attentive and trying to, be with her.
Yep.
So the first week and a half at most, every day I got like 2 hours of sleep at most. And I know I felt it because like my body felt heavy.
Yep.
And I felt like kind of like just there. Like I was conscious and everything, but I was just there.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I know you mentioned it before, kind of like you felt like a zombie.
Yeah, like I remember when in 2022, I think when my son was born, I remember coming back. I think I was running on 3 hours a day of sleep, and I remember coming back like I was present. It's just that I felt like I was kind of like a zombie. Like I could think, I could function, better said.
Yeah.
But it was just it's like a heavy like it's hard to explain. But it's just imagine not sleeping for a while, and maybe some of you guys have gone through that, but. It was a really heavy zombie-like type of like how I used to feel.
Yeah, and I know that happened. Granted, I know, fast forward to like now, like she's about to be, I think, she already did 2 weeks. She's about to be 3 weeks. And I know just like in the last 2 weeks, a week and a half, I know that my wife, she started taking on like waking up in the night and feeding, because my baby's calm. She's calm.
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
Yeah, she just... We feed her, we change her, we burp her, she goes to sleep, and that's it. And I know like those times, since it's somewhat easier on our end because she's very calm, I know that my wife takes up most of the time in the night to take care of her, and then when I come back from work, then I help. So that helped me a lot. But I know like how you mentioned it was a little bit different for you, because I know you got a little bit less sleep, no? And pretty much with that, I guess my question is, how do you think you functioned with less sleep versus more sleep?
Yeah.
And then I guess,
Yeah, so there's a big difference when running on a little bit of hours of sleep as opposed to like, sleeping your 8 hours. Because I know when my son was born, I know like sleep was a rarity. Maybe like 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep at most. And so when I used to sleep like a little bit, I remember that, how I used to talk and like mid-sentence, I used to kind of lose my train of thought. So there's a lot of times where I used to operate and I'd just been talking to you, but I'm like, what was I talking about? Or what was I saying?
Yeah, brain fog.
Yeah, there was brain fog. I know there was a lot of that. And I know also in the meetings when we had them with everyone, I know as I was talking, I used to have that, I just forgot what I was talking about. And I think you remember those times.
Yep.
And so... I think that was part of it because of just my lack of sleep. And so, compared to like now, which I get maybe like at the very least 6 hours, and that's at the least.
Yep.
I try to get, the average is probably like 6.5 to 7.5 hours. Not even 7.5, 6.5 to 7. Which I know my goal is to get to 8 hours, but I know that it's just, like, I guess your day to day, like I know, like, for example, I visit my parents, or I'm at my parents usually like around 8:30 to 9. And so like, I get back. So it's just prioritizing.
Yep.
But I get that now. And I think I function pretty well. Yep. I think my brain, there's a lot more clarity. I feel better. I'm not as tired. And also I know I've been losing weight, which is part of it. Because I think there was I've heard a lot, when it comes to bodybuilders and people that are in fitness, that sleep is extremely important. They go for the 8 hours, if not more. Because I know sleep is when, your body regenerates. If you work out, that's when you tear your muscles during the day. That's when they regenerate. I know that's when you kind of reset.
Yep.
So it allows your body to reset, both physically and mentally. And so I know that that's something that like now sleeping more, or able to sleep more, I have better mental clarity. I feel better. I think I look better because I've been losing like weight too, and
Yep.
I guess that's a part of it. But because I've been sleeping more, I think that's also helped me lose more weight, less stress. There's a lot of benefits. I don't know if you've had any like comparative of like lack of sleep with a good amount of sleep.
Yeah. With that, it could also be our age. Maybe just with that, because we are getting older. We're not 18, 19 years anymore. Because I know during that time, remember when we used to work at different companies? Or like we had our jobs and we wanted to start a business, or we wanted to make more money. So we got into a company selling insurance. And I remember we used to, I think, get home like at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then get up to work like at 5 or something.
Yeah.
And we would only run on 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And during that time, I think you were 19?
Roughly
18, 19?
19, like in the late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, and I was 17, 18. And during that time, I think I was still able to function, even though it was like 3 to 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But I think as you do it, maybe it's not age, but it's just prolonged.
Yeah, because even then, I remember when there was times where we were sleeping a little bit, but I remember driving on the freeway just monotone. Like there was times like catching myself like just like falling asleep and like just like you're driving and then you're like but you're driving and so like even at a young age I don't think it's good. Like I do agree with you that I think it's for prolonged.
Yeah.
That it does
versus age, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does catch up to you. And I know there was periods like every so often that we would go on maybe sleeping like 3 to 4 hours for like a month, 2 months, 3 months. And then late after that, we would try to sleep like 6 to 7, 8 hours. And I know before that we weren't too mindful of that. We were just like, kind of like it was the culture, especially because we wanted to be entrepreneurs. We wanted to make more money. It was the culture of looking online at influencers, at people who made it. They always used to say, you got to grind, you got to hustle. Like sleep is for the weak.
Yeah.
And so they're like, if you're not awake, working on your business or working on your life, then pretty much you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I know we kind of like, it was more of ignorance and it was like we took our sleep less, how do you call it? Like less serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's a lot different because especially like with a lot of reports and kind of like how you said that some bodybuilders, they take sleep serious. And then like the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, even themselves who work a lot, who work crazy hours, they really try to work 8 hours. They try to sleep 8 hours a day.
Both of them? I think they're different. I think
Are they?
Elon Musk, I think he only gets 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day.
Okay.
And Jeff Bezos, like he shoots for 8.
Yeah.
At the very least, yeah.
And it's because he can't function, huh? Jeff
Yeah, I think for him. Yeah, Elon Musk, and that's one of the things. Like I think people are different. Granted, I think it's extreme, like an extreme minority, like a fraction of a percent of people that are able to operate on 4 hours of sleep. But I think the people that actually sleep on or operate on 4 hours of sleep is a lot more. Like I feel like it's a good amount of people that sleep a little bit. But I guess where I was going with that is that people are different. But I know that one thing that I think is for almost everyone, except maybe a small fraction or minority of the population, is that you need your 8 hours of sleep.
8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, after that, it's I did try to get my 8 hours of sleep, and I even before my baby was born, I would get my 6 to 8 hours of sleep because I would wake up at 2:50 in the morning to go work out, and then to be here by 4:50, 4:45, and that's the thing. It's like during the day I would work like nonstop. Like I would get tired both physically and mentally, and I would just knock out. That's the thing. That at least that's one of the things for me, because like I work just so like I'm so focused and into it. Once I got home, like around 7:30, like 8 p.m., like as soon as I hit the couch or I hit the bed, I would fall asleep. And so that was the whole thing, and I think that's when I operated my best. Because I was focused. Like, granted, I still have brain fog, but I think it's because of other aspects. I think because I eat more carbs, more sugars, less meat. I think that's why I have more brain fog than you. Granted, I know if I had less sleep, I would have even like less brain fog, and then I would have been falling asleep in the meetings. I would have been falling, because remember there was a period of time where it was like a week that I would sleep maybe like 2 to 3 hours, and it was during the beginning of the business. And I don't know if you remember that I would be falling asleep in the computer. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it affected me quite a bit when I only slept like 2 to 3 hours. And like I mentioned, it's because it was for prolonged. It was like a week. It was 2 weeks. Like if it's 1 or 2 days, then you could get away with it. But if you prolong it, it's just gonna add up.
No, 100%.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I think sleep is something that is overlooked, but it's extremely important from our experience. Also, from what people like the experts, the medical experts say, right? Sleep is extremely important, and also what like like the not the real people, but like for example, like the bodybuilders, the ones that are into fitness, like they take sleep extremely serious because that's when your body resets mentally, physically, in all aspects. And so I think it's something that is really overlooked. And from our experience, I would say is we perform better when we have a good amount of sleep.
Yeah. And so with that, I also had another question. I know you mentioned something about that every person's situation is different. Maybe they have like seasons of where they're always working. They have 2 to 3 jobs. Maybe other seasons where maybe they have a kid like myself.
Yeah.
But other times they are able to sleep. Yeah. And I know you mentioned right now you do have more time to sleep because you're prioritizing certain things.
Yeah.
And with that, how would you go about prioritizing yourself? Because I know like you have work, you have a wife, you have a kid, and then maybe there's other things that you want to do. I don't know if it's maybe watching videos that'll help like you grow like your skill sets, or maybe watching, I don't know if you watch like movies or shows and whatnot. So how do you go about prioritizing spending time with family, working, spending time with my parents?
So pretty, and it's, I think everyone is different, and I know I'm coming from a place of privilege. Granted, we also came from a place of not having that privilege of like, or that ability to be able to sleep more or have that option. Because I know there's people that have that, but then they're also working 2 jobs, then they're also going to school to try to better themselves. So I understand, but we come from both perspectives. And right now I'm speaking from a point of privilege where I have that ability and option to. But first and foremost for me is it's family. Family in general. Family. It's the thing that comes at based on what I make my decisions on. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to my parents. Let's say I'm gonna take my son to my parents. Even if it's 8:30 or 9, because I know they want to see him. So that comes first and foremost, and then work. I think what feeds everyone.
Yeah.
What feeds everyone, and then after that, it's pretty much myself, like my health. I think my health is pretty much it, because then I know I used to watch a lot of like, and you've probably experienced this too. You used to watch a lot of TikTok, a lot of reels, a lot of this and that. But and granted, like there is phases of kids as they get older, more attention has to go in, because I know they're sleeping for like, let's say, an hour, 2 hours, and you're able to have that free time. But then as they get older, they just want all your attention. Like they get older, they're like Benji, he's there just just up and just wanting to play, and so like you're forced to. And so pretty much family, work comes first, and then myself, choosing to, like, let's say, sleep, or I think sleep is the main one.
Yeah, so sleep over exercising.
Over exercising? Yeah, I would.
Well, granted, I'm sure you're able to fit it together.
Yeah,
where it works out.
So luckily, like, I've been able to fit everything into, like, I guess those 16 hours a day, and then pretty much I leave the last for, any entertainment, any of the non-essential stuff. Let's say, entertainment, watching videos, being on social media, watching movies, Netflix, going out. Like, I've pretty much left that at if there's time, then I'll go ahead and do that. But if not, then that's pretty much it. And so that's how I prioritize. But I don't know how you do or how you think in that sense.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing for me. I know, again, before I would prioritize working, because I know that we were coming from a place where we didn't even have money. So I would prioritize work over sleep. Also, again, spending time with family. And I know it shifted. Again, now it's more family. It's pretty much the same thing as you. It's family, work, and then our needs, or at least my needs, come after, because I know that for me, I do work out in the morning. I lift weights here and there. I would also like to go run. I would also like to
Yeah.
go exercise and play soccer because I'm a little bit on the chunkier side.
Mm.
When it comes to like, and it's just because I eat, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, because food is like a drug. It's an addiction, and I would like to do those things, but again, it's because I would rather choose spending time with family and then working, because again, it feeds everyone, and everyone, and then sleep, and then that's one thing I am sacrificing, maybe more my cardiovascular activities versus everything else.
Yeah, and that's not to say like giving people an excuse. Like,
No, it's not.
yeah, because I know, for example, for myself, like right after work, 10 minutes.
Yep.
Just cardio.
Yep.
That's it. 10 minutes is not really going to affect much. And so so hopefully people don't take it as an excuse to be like, oh, I'm just chilling at home with spending time.
Yeah, because before, when I used to be leaner, I used to prioritize working out over sleeping. So if I would have to get up an hour earlier to work out, to exercise, I would do that. But now I'm prioritizing like that extra hour of sleep versus maybe doing 30 minutes of cardio.
Which is extremely important, though, and that's the thing. Like, and I guess it's just prioritizing.
It's a balance, because I know, like how you mentioned, there's gonna be seasons where you're gonna prioritize one thing over the other, or it's just gonna coincide where you have a little bit more time, maybe an extra half an hour to an hour, where you're able to do everything.
No, but I mean, like how I think reiterating what we had talked about, sleep is extremely important, and if you have that privilege to be able to sleep more, then it's extremely highly recommended. At the same time, I know that not everyone has that ability. Not everyone has that privilege to choose. People are working 2 jobs, going to school, having to take care of the kids, and so I get that. And so there's seasons, and so I think that's even more reason to just work harder to get ahead in life, to be able to have that option and privilege. Just take a look at our example, and so I know it may be easy, like, oh, it's easier said than done, but we did that. We went through it, and it's possible, so just working your way, or working hard enough to be able to do that, and just again reiterating, sleep is extremely important. But with that being said, this has been another episode of Driven. My name is Juan,
My name is Alexis.
and we'll see you on the next one.